The space station shook. Alarms rang through the metal halls. Lights blinked red. Soldiers ran. Engineers shouted. Sirens echoed like cries from a dying world. Inside one of the locked rooms, a human guard named Ethan pressed his back against the cold wall. His weapon was gone. His armor cracked. Blood ran from a cut above his eye. He had just survived an ambush from alien raiders, strange beasts with claws, wings, and red eyes that glowed in the dark. Across from him sat someone even more out of place, a young alien girl. Not just any alien, a princess. She had pale blue skin that shimmered in the emergency lights. Her long silver hair was braided with glowing wires. Her ears were long, her eyes deep purple, watching him with a mix of fear and pride. She wore a dress made of flowing silver thread, half torn and dirt-stained from the attack. They were enemies. Or they had been, only hours ago. But now they were both prisoners. The ship had no more space, damaged badly. Half the sleeping quarters were destroyed. The crew, what remained of them, had taken heavy losses. Humans and aliens had been fighting just 3 days ago. But after the real enemy came, the raiders, everything changed. Now 2 old enemies were stuck in the same room, and worse, there was only one bed. The crew had made a mistake. Or maybe they didn't care anymore. With limited resources and chaos outside, comfort wasn't a priority. They just pointed at the room and said, "Share it." No trouble. Ethan didn't speak. He just sat on the floor. The princess, whose name was Liari, also stayed quiet. She was royal, proud, and strong. But tonight, she looked tired. Cold. Her arms were wrapped around her knees. Her silver dress offered little warmth in the freezing metal room. Ethan stood slowly. His ribs ached. He looked at the bed, small, narrow. Barely enough for one person. "I'll sleep on the floor," he said simply. She didn't answer. He sighed and turned to lay down. The cold hit his back first. Then the pain in his side came back. The cuts on his chest opened a little. He closed his eyes, trying not to shake. A few seconds passed. Then footsteps. He opened one eye. The princess was standing over him, holding a corner of the blanket. She said nothing but looked down at him with a serious expression. "What?" he asked. She didn't blink. "You're bleeding." "I've had worse," he muttered. "You will freeze. It's fine." She stared. Another moment, then, without warning, dropped the blanket over him. He grabbed it out of instinct. It was warm, smelled strange, like flowers and machine oil. Then, carefully, she sat down beside him, on the floor. "Not the bed," he frowned. "You can take the bed." She didn't look at him. "It's not right to rest while someone else suffers." Ethan didn't know what to say. No one on his own crew would have done that for him, not even the captain. And this alien princess, from a race that once tried to conquer Earth, just sat beside him in silence. Hours passed. The sirens stopped. Lights dimmed to emergency blue. Somewhere above them, an engine gave out a long dying groan. Neither of them slept. Ethan stared at the ceiling. Every time his body relaxed, he heard screams in his head. From the battle. From his friends who didn't make it. He glanced over. The princess was watching him. Her eyes were open wide. "You should try to rest," he said. "I don't sleep well," she replied. He nodded. "Same." Then silence again. Suddenly, she whispered, "You tried to save that child." Ethan turned his head. "What?" "During the ambush," she said. "One of my people, a little boy. You pushed him out of the way." Ethan blinked. He had barely remembered that moment. "Why?" she asked softly. He looked at her. "Because he was just a kid. Doesn't matter what species. A kid is a kid." She looked down, her hands tightening around her knees. "You surprised me." He chuckled quietly. "I surprise myself sometimes." Then, after a long pause, she said something he didn't expect. "You have honor." Ethan didn't know how to respond. Another pause. Then her voice again, softer than before. I think our people may be wrong about humans. He sat up a little. What do you mean? I was taught that your kind are cruel. That you only want power, control, war. But you are kind, you care. He looked at her for a long time. Then smiled, just a little. Maybe both our sides are wrong about each other. Their eyes locked. No words after that. Only the quiet sound of two enemies, breathing the same cold air, under the same ceiling, and lying side by side on a broken floor while the rest of the ship floated in silence, above a war-torn moon. And for the first time in days, Ethan's heart felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Warmth. Asterisk. The next morning came slowly. The station's lights flickered on one side, still broken on the other. There was no official sunrise in space, only metal groaning and the shift in light color. Ethan opened his eyes, sore and cold. His body hurt, and his stomach growled. Beside him, the alien princess was already sitting up. She had not touched the bed. Liari looked calm but distant, like she had been thinking all night. Her silver hair glowed faintly, soft against her pale skin. She didn't speak at first, just stared at the sealed metal door. Ethan sat up with effort. His shirt was stuck to dried blood. His side burned. Still alive, he muttered. You need healing, Liari said without turning. Yeah, well, I don't think the medbay's open for humans right now. She looked at him then. I can help, he blinked. How? She reached into a small pouch sewn into her sash and pulled out a flat crystal, glowing light blue. It pulsed gently. Lay back, she said. Ethan hesitated. This isn't going to explode, is it? No, it will burn at first. Then it will heal. He sighed and leaned back. Okay, princess, show me. She knelt beside him, her hands warm on his skin. When she pressed the crystal to his wound, it sparked. Heat spread through his side. He clenched his teeth but didn't scream. The pain turned sharp, then faded, replaced by a strange cool feeling. When he looked again, the bleeding had stopped. He touched the skin. Still bruised, but healing. That's... She gave a small smile. It is called bioessence. Technology from my mother's line. Ethan stared. You know, you could have used that last night. She raised an eyebrow. I didn't trust you yet, he chuckled. Fair enough. Before they could speak more, the door hissed open. 2 human officers stood outside. Behind them were 4 alien guards, big, armored, silent. It was a rare sight. Both species working side by side after years of war. The lead officer, a sharp-faced woman, stepped inside. On your feet, both of you, she said. We're moving survivors to the central wing. Ethan stood slowly. What's the plan? We don't know yet, she said. Command's dead. Half the station systems are fried. Supplies are low. The raiders might return. Right now, we're just trying to survive. She looked at Liari. The princess is to stay under guard, close guard. Liari's jaw tightened, but she nodded. Her eyes flicked to Ethan. The officer noticed. You're still active? I guess, Ethan replied. Then you're assigned to her. You keep her safe. You don't leave her side. And no more ... surprises. What kind of surprises? The officer gave a cold smile. People are talking. You and the princess one bed, alone for hours. Not a great look. Ethan frowned. We didn't. She raised her hand. I don't care. Just don't make it worse. Liari stepped forward. This human saved lives, mine included. If not for him, I would be dead. The officer gave her a look. Noted, princess. But this is still a human warship. You're still an alien guest. We don't take chances. As they walked down the hall, survivors stared. Humans, wounded and tired, whispered to one another. Some nodded at Ethan with respect. Others glared. The aliens, too, looked confused, angry. Curious. It was not normal, a human soldier and an alien princess, walking side by side. They entered the central wing. The crew had turned the place into a rough command room. Maps flickered on broken screens. Everyone looked tired, dirty, scared. On one side of the room, a soldier pointed to a blinking red dot on a screen. Another signal. Raider scouts, maybe. On the other side, a medic shouted, "We're out of clean bandages. Use the thermal blankets." Ethan and Liari were guided to a small tent made of tarpon wire. Inside was a sleeping pad. One dot again. Lyari raised an eyebrow. "They do this on purpose?" Ethan shook his head. "I don't know anymore." A young human walked in, nervous, holding 2 small bowls. "Food," he said. "It's, protein, paste, and a slice of apple." He gave one bowl to Liari and the other to Ethan, then rushed out. Ethan sniffed the paste. "Smells like sadness." Liari tasted it without flinching. "It's not terrible." They ate in silence. After a few minutes, Ethan leaned back. "Do you ever miss home?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "I miss the wind. Our trees are tall, like mountains. The leaves shimmer in the light." He nodded. "I miss rain, real rain, not station water drops." Suddenly, a loud voice called from outside, "Everyone to positions." "Raiders incoming." The alarm started again. Ethan stood, reached for his weapon. Nothing but a pipe this time. He looked at Liari. "I'll protect you," he said. She looked him straight in the eyes. "No, we protect each other." The sound of boots echoed through the metal halls. People shouted orders. Some carried weapons, others carried wounded friends. The lights blinked again as the main alarm screamed louder. Ethan grabbed the metal pipe and stepped out of the tent. The air was hot now. The engines below the floor were overheating. Smoke curled near the vents. Everything smelled like oil, fire, and fear. Liari followed without hesitation. The command area had turned into chaos. On the main screen, several red dots appeared. Raider ships closing in. The officer from earlier, now covered in ash and sweat, yelled over the noise. "They're breaking through the hangar doors. Fall back to Sector 5. A young soldier tripped beside Ethan. He helped him up, then pushed forward. "We need to get the princes to safety," he said. "No time." The officer shouted, "Everyone fights now." Suddenly, the wall shook. A loud boom knocked Ethan off balance. A piece of the ceiling broke off and crashed behind him. Liari caught herself on a rail. Her calm face was gone. She looked at him, eyes wide. "They're inside," she said. From the hallway came the first screech. A terrible sound, metal and bone grinding together. Then figures appeared, tall raiders with black armor, claws glowing with red heat. They didn't walk. They ran like wild animals. Ethan stood in front of Liari, raising the pipe. He knew it wouldn't do much. But he would not run. A raider leapt toward them. Ethan swung hard. The pipe hit the creature's arm. A spark flew. The thing growled and slashed back. It barely missed his face. Then from behind, Liari stepped forward. Her hand glowed. Blue light wrapped around her fingers. With one fast motion, she slammed her palm into the raider's chest. The creature froze, then dropped. Ethan blinked. "You can fight?" "I was trained since birth," she said, voice firm. "I just never had to fight beside a human." Another raider came. This time they moved together. Ethan blocked low. Liari hit high. The enemy fell. More raiders pushed through the hallway. 5, maybe 6. Ethan felt panic rise, but Liari touched his shoulder. "We stand here," she said. "Until we fall," he answered. But they didn't fall. Other humans joined them. A female engineer with a wrench. A pilot with a broken gun. Even the nervous kid with the food bowl came back, holding a chair. Together, they held the line, strike, block, Slam, step back, breathe. More raiders came, but fewer now. The last two turned and ran. Silence followed. Ethan leaned against the wall, gasping. Blood ran from his arm. His hands shook. But he was alive. Liari stood straight. A small cut across her cheek dripped silver blood. She didn't even touch it. The officer walked in, holding a cracked radio. Reinforcements are coming. Some alien ships sent help. Your father must have heard the distress call, she said, nodding at Liari. Liari gave a small nod. He listens more than he pretends. The officer looked around. You all fought well. We're moving the wounded to lower decks. The top levels are gone. What about us? Ethan asked. You too? She paused. You've become a symbol. Now human and alien, guard and princess, side by side. The crew keeps talking. Ethan frowned. They think she raised a hand. I don't care what they think. What I care about is that people are finally fighting together, not against each other. That's rare. We need that. Liari looked at Ethan. She is right. This changes things. I'm still just a guard, he said. She tilted her head. Not to me. Later, they were moved again. Another temporary shelter, another broken bed. This time the crew didn't even pretend. Just gave them one blanket and walked away. Ethan sat down with a groan. I've seen worse beds, he said. Liari lay beside him, closer this time. The room was quiet, just the hum of power failing slowly. She whispered, Do your people believe in fate? Some do, he said. I was told I would be married to a warrior from my world. But now, I think fate had other ideas. Evidon didn't answer right away. Then he said, and I was told aliens were monsters. That they'd never care about us. She turned her face toward his. And what do you believe now? He looked into her glowing purple eyes. I believe you saved my life today, she smiled. And you saved mine. Outside, the station creaked and shifted, broken and dark. But inside the room, warmth grew between two souls once raised to hate each other. And now, they shared breath, a bed, and maybe something deeper. The station floated in silence. Most of the fires were out. Half the halls were dark. Engineers patched broken doors using tape and wire. Everyone moved slower, now tired, wounded, but still alive. Ethan walked beside Liari through the narrow corridor. Both had bruises, cuts, and bandages, but their eyes stayed alert. Their story had spread whispers of the human guard and the alien princess fighting side by side. Some people smiled at them now. A few nodded with respect. But others still stared, not with kindness but confusion. Two species weren't supposed to sleep beside each other, weren't supposed to protect one another, weren't supposed to speak gently when no one was watching. Liari didn't seem to care about any of that. She moved with grace, calm and proud. Her dress had been changed, a simple uniform stitched from human fabric, still shining slightly with her people's design. A blue crest on her chest marked her as royal. Ethan, on the other hand, had taped armor and a pipe for a weapon. But no one called him just a guard anymore. The command officer called them in. Inside the war room, the map flickered with new information. 3 alien ships had arrived. Liari's people. Not enemies now, but allies. They had sent food, medkits, fresh water. A signal of peace. Still, the crew wasn't sure how to react. Ethan stood at Liari's side as she faced the crew. The officer spoke. The princess has offered a truce. Supplies, protection, and joint defense until both our peoples can talk peace. Murmurs rose in the room. Liari lifted her chin. I know this will not erase the past. My people have made mistakes, so have yours. But we cannot survive if we keep fighting. The raiders are growing. They do not care who you are, they only destroy. Together we are stronger. One human engineer shouted, And what happens after this? When the help stops? Liari didn't look away. That depends on us, on trust. On those brave enough to stand together when others run apart. Someone else asked, "Why should we believe in alien princes?" Ethan stepped forward. "Because." "I do." The room went quiet. "She could have left me," Ethan said. "She didn't. She fought beside me. She healed our wounded. She saved lives," he paused. "And I would do the same for her. Again, every time." The officer watched them, both carefully. Then she nodded. "The crew votes in 1 hour," she said. "But for now you two have earned a rest." Later that night, they returned to their shared room. The new bed was wider now. A small gift from both crews, a sign of peace. Or curiosity. Liari stood near the wall, silent. Ethan sat down on the edge of the bed. "You okay?" She nodded but didn't speak. He waited. Then she said softly, "I've never spoken like that in front of so many. You were strong." I was shaking inside. Ethan smiled, didn't show. She finally looked at him. Her purple eyes glowed faintly in the low light. "You stood with me, even when they doubted," he shrugged. "You earned it." Slowly, she stepped closer. Then, without a word, she sat beside him. Their shoulders touched. "I don't know what happens next," she whispered. Ethan nodded. "Me either." She tilted her head toward him. "But I know what I want." He turned his face slightly. "What?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "To stay beside you, not just as allies. Not just in war." Ethan's heart beat faster. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached for her hand, gentle, unsure. She didn't pull away. Outside, the crew still debated politics and peace talks. But inside this quiet room, on the edge of a broken warship, something far more rare was being built. Not an alliance, not a treaty, but something warmer. Something real. And no one, not generals, not raiders, not angry whispers, could stop it now. 2 days passed. The station's lights returned to normal. Food rations became steady. Patrols guarded the halls in shifts, both humans and aliens, working together now. But not everyone liked it. Some humans still refused to talk to the aliens. Some aliens still avoided eye contact with humans. A few crews demanded to be moved to different wings. Peace was happening, but slowly. And with doubt, Ethan noticed the stairs growing colder, especially when Liari walked with him. They spent almost every hour together now. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. They shared food, stories, guard shifts, even quiet moments sitting beside each other, saying nothing. But some in the crew didn't see the bond. They saw betrayal. Late one evening, Ethan was called into the weapons bay to check on power readings. He arrived alone. 2 soldiers were waiting there. Human soldiers. They looked angry. One of them, a broad man with a broken nose, stepped forward. "Guard Ethan," he said. "Got a minute?" Ethan's instincts kicked in. He stepped back slightly. "What is this?" The other man smirked. "Just a friendly talk about your alien friend." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Say what you want." The man's voice turned cold. "You think just because you shared a bed with one of them, that makes you better than us? That makes them trustworthy?" "She's not the enemy," Ethan said. "They killed my brother in the last war. And raiders killed half our station," Ethan snapped back. "She saved lives here. They're playing you. She's a princess. She go home when this is over. You'll be left behind." Ethan's grip on his pipe tightened. "She's not like that." The man shoved him. Ethan stumbled but didn't fall. "She's changing you," the soldier growled. "You think we don't see it? You fight beside her, eat with her, sleep with her. Maybe you're not one of us anymore." Ethan breathed hard, then raised his voice. "If being one of you means hating for no reason, then maybe I'm not." A long silence. Then the second soldier stepped forward, fists clenched. But before anyone could move, a blue glow lit the hallway behind them. Liari stepped into view, eyes sharp, hand glowing with bioessence. "Enough," she said calmly. The two soldiers froze. "You speak of honor," she said. "But attack your own. This is not strength. This is fear." They didn't answer. She stepped beside Ethan. "We do not need your approval, but we will not hide." Ethan looked at her. "How'd you know I was here?" She answered softly. "I felt something was wrong." The soldiers stepped back, saying nothing, then walked away. Ethan sighed and leaned against the wall. "That's going to make things asterisk." The vote was close. Many humans still didn't trust the aliens. Many aliens still didn't trust the humans. But something strange had started to grow respect. It began with stories of the princess and the human guard, and it spread across the station like fire on dry grass. By morning, the vote results were posted on the command screens. Truce approved. The crew clapped, some cheered. Others just stood quietly, nodding. For the first time in years, two sides would work together. Ethan didn't smile. He was still watching the sky. On the outer screen, one of the raider ships was drifting, broken and cold. A message had come. Through one final threat. "They will return," Liari said beside him. "And they will bring more," Ethan nodded. "That means we get ready." Training started the same day. Humans and aliens trained side by side. They practiced with weapons, studied maps, learned each other's language. Some of the humans laughed, trying to speak the alien tongue. Some aliens struggled to understand Earth jokes, but no one gave up. And slowly, the bond grew stronger. Ethan was given real armor again. His new uniform had two symbols on the chest, one human, one alien. Liari wore the same. She trained too, not like a princess, but like a soldier. Ethan taught her how to handle human rifles. She showed him how to channel energy with the bioessence. Stones. At night, they returned to their room. The bed was theirs now, no longer strange or uncomfortable. It was a place of peace. One night, as the room dimmed, Liari looked at Ethan and said, "If war comes again, I will fight beside you." He took her hand gently. "And I'll die beside you if I have to." She leaned her head against his shoulder. Silence that followed said everything their words could not. The sirens screamed again. This time, the crew didn't panic. Ethan stood in full armor, helmet under one arm, pipe long gone. He looked across the hangar as ships arrived, raiders, bigger than before. Black spikes, glowing engines. A fleet. "Here we go," he muttered. Beside him, Liari tightened her gloves. She wore royal battle armor, sleek, silver, lined with glowing blue veins of light. Their hands touched. Just once. Then the hangar exploded in movement. Missiles flew. Ships dodged through space. Raiders landed in waves. The humans and aliens fought like one force, smooth, focused, powerful. Ethan's squad held the main gate. Liari's warriors pushed from above. One raider tried to flank them. Ethan saw it too late, but Liari didn't. She jumped in front, her hand glowing bright. The blast hit her square in the chest. She dropped. "No!" Ethan shouted. He ran to her, heart pounding. Smoke and fire filled the air. He knelt by her side. Her armor was cracked. Blood ran silver again, but her eyes opened. She smiled weakly. "I'm still here. You scared me." "You care," she whispered. "I always did." She reached up and touched his cheek. "Then let me give you something." From around her neck, she pulled a thin chain, a royal token, shining with soft blue light. "If I fall," she said, "this marks you as my chosen." Ethan took it slowly. "You're not going to fall." But deep down, they both knew the truth. The station was failing. The defense line was broken. Soon, the enemy would reach the heart of the ship. But then, something unexpected. From the far edge of space, new ships jumped in. More allies, Liari's people. Other alien races, even human rebels who once fought the Earth Command had joined in. They came because of the story. The one that spread from station to station. A story about a human guard and an alien princess who chose peace and love over war. Together, they pushed back the raiders. Together, they won. Weeks passed. The station was repaired. Celebrations echoed through the halls. Ethan stood on the balcony, watching stars. Liari stepped beside him in a new dress, blue and silver, glowing with soft light. "I spoke to my father," she said. "He asked about you." "What did you say?" She smiled. "That I had found someone worth more than 1,000 armies." He turned. "And what did he say?" She reached out, placed his hand on her heart. "That I may choose my future." He looked at her, beautiful, brave, powerful. "Then let's choose together." And there, under the stars, a human guard and an alien princess stood side by side, not as enemies, not as survivors, but as something far more powerful. A new beginning. Asterisk.